The aftermath of Hurricane Irma credit app PhotoAlan Diaz. It was a summer the insurance industry will never forget. Floods like the one caused by Hurricane Harvey are supposed to happen once every 500 years. But Houston has seen 3 in 3 years, with Harvey being the most powerful hurricane to hit Texas in half a century. Meanwhile, Irma, which wrought devastation with sustained winds of 185 miles per hour, is one of the strongest storms ever recorded. While the costs of the catastrophes are still being assessed, insurers are expecting losses of more than $70 billion, £52 billion, down from the initial $150 billion feared from Irma, but still enough to make 2017 one of the worst years on record. Reinsurance groups are expected to be the hardest hit, with the world's largest, Munich Re, already warning that the events will threaten its ability to meet full-year earnings. But it is not just the financial costs weighing on the insurance industry. Scientists say the scale of the destruction was exacerbated by climate change, and insurers are coming under pressure to do more to help limit the damage as the world prepares for extreme weather to become the new norm. The average number of Category 4 storms per year has already more than doubled since 1900. The UK isn't immune to that threat, with annual flood damage costs expected to rise from £1.1 billion today to £27 billion by 2080. Inga Beale, the Lloyd's of London chief executive, makes clear that concerns are mounting in this country too. Drone footage shows extent of Irma damage in Florida. 0103 As an industry on the front line of tackling climate-related catastrophes, we have a duty to drive action, she said. We need to continue to build up our resilience to these catastrophic events in every way we can. As it stands, these include offering premium discounts that encourage certain behavior. Building a house on stilts, for example, could come with a cheaper flood insurance policy because the house is likely to be more protected and the claim cheaper, as well as collaborating with the government to launch projects in high-risk areas, as seen in the UK last year with the launch of reinsurance initiative Flood Re. But as the planet warms, experts argue that the response needs to be bolder and faster. It not only needs to protect society from the risks, but also play an active role in reducing the impacts of climate change. The sector is well organized, multinational, and with annual premiums amounting to 6% of global GDP has the necessary financial clout to make it happen, said University of Oxford statistician Anthony Webster, arguing that insurers need to now take the lead on finding solutions. An insurance-led response to climate change avoids the need for binding agreements and complex international negotiations between countries with differing priorities. Hurricane Irma key articles. Webster believes that insurers should collect a levy from energy companies based on the carbon intensity of the product, then use the funds for low-carbon energy projects. Like a carbon or energy tax, it would have the advantage that the revenues go solely into adaptation and mitigation, not government or individual spending, he wrote in a paper with research director Richard Clark, who works for carbon pricing startup Predictability. Governments could legislate that it must be paid, as the UK has done with Flood Re. The pair are hoping to put forward the proposals at the Baden-Baden Reinsurance Congress next month, Clark told The Telegraph, adding that they will make their argument to individual insurance companies, as well as international organizations such as the Association of British Insurers in the coming months. There is a gap, a need that these insurers could fill, and we're trying to move this forward, he said. There are some things insurers are doing, but not enough. It's a conservative industry. Climate change is happening. The sector is well aware it needs to be seen as taking a lead, if only to save itself from future losses. But one of the challenges it faces is coming up with ideas that reduce risk rather than merely responding to natural disasters. Flooding following Hurricane Harvey. Credit app photo. David J. Phillip. With scientists warning that climate change is worsening, insurance chief executives will be under increasing pressure to come up with products or investments that could actively delay its impact. Some examples exist which could be built on. Aviva, for example, launched a pay-as-you-drive scheme a number of years ago with the aim of reducing CO2 emissions, while Lloyd's has suggested that insurers invest in coral reefs and mangroves to dampen the impact of coastal storms after finding that coastal habitats absorb wave energy and so act as a natural defense, therefore reducing the amount insurers pay out in claims. We've got to do it right, said Maurice Tulloch, Aviva's chairman of Global General Insurance and chairman of ClimateWise, an industry group that drives research on climate risk. The frequency of more severe events has been increasing year on year. I'm no longer having to convince people when I speak to them that we're going to see more of these. As an industry, we've got a role to play. We have to act now. But as insurers around the world ramp up efforts to adapt and manage risks, the list of tasks they face is endless. The full impact of Irma and Harvey will be unclear for some time, and the sector is under pressure to make sure that those in developing economies who do not have insurance cover are protected, with countries around the equator most vulnerable to extreme weather disasters. We need to look at ways of paying for natural disasters in less developed parts of the world, which also happen to be the areas that are most exposed to the worst effects of climate change, Lloyd's chief Beale has urged, flagging an issue that is becoming more important as storms and droughts grow fiercer and more frequent. Looking to the future, she said, insurance firms cannot do it alone. They will need partnerships with governments, each other, and even policyholders themselves to slow the impact of global warming. No one industry, sector, or government can do it themselves. Progress is dependent on everyone working together, she said. The insurance industry takes the issue of climate change very seriously, because it knows all too well the damage it can cause.